What's the funniest thing you've done to avoid having sex? Late to the party, but here we go. Not something I did, but my brother. For a few weeks in high school, I lived with my mom, and I was babysitting my younger brothers. A girl with who I went to school decided to stop by, and was clumsily trying to seduce me. She had a bit of a reputation, and I was watching kids besides, so I really wasn't into it. Anyway, she got really forceful, and my younger brother picked up on the fact that I was uncomfortable. As an aside, I was supposed to be very careful about letting the boys play wrestling video games, as they tended to get a little rowdy. I had completely ignored this rule all day. Anyway, my brother saw how uncomfortable I was, so he decided that he was going to climb on the back of the couch and dropkick the duck right out of her. I pretended to be upset with him until she got back up and left, then high-fived him and took my brothers out for ice cream. Edit. Verbiage. My friend was very drunk in college, and went home with a very unattractive girl. We had tried to stop him, but he didn't listen. Shortly after arriving at her home, he said he regained clarity, and realized he needed to escape. She left the room for a moment to brush her teeth or some such task, and he jumped out her second-story window. He forgot his hat, though, and had to climb back in said window. Then he jumped back out. It was a small school. We saw her on campus often. While wingmaning a friend, who was having sex in another room of the house, I had to sleep in the same bed as the girl he was having sex with's ugly friend. So she really wants to do the dirty, but I'm not feeling it with her at all. So very drunk, I decide to make a fort on my half of the bed out of blankets and pillows and such and try to go to sleep. However, she is surprisingly aggressive. So for an hour I have to keep yelling at her. No girls allowed in my fort. She eventually got the message. I've never done anything to avoid having sex. It just keeps not happening all on its own. Sex with my ex-girlfriend was so terrible, she'd lay there like a dead fish. Basically, that when we would go out to bars, I'd purposely give myself whiskey D. Edit. I word. I ran the duck away. I was with a girl from a party out on the street going at it on top of a car hood in an alley. After a bit she tried to slip me in. Because she was wearing a skirt and no panties, this was easily attainable. She had a death lock on my hips with her legs as I was standing there, and I asked if she had any condoms. She told me no, and again with her death lock on me started to steer me back into her. In my head I was thinking duck aids and it. I don't know her. She's not even wearing panties. Instead of telling her I didn't want to, my drunk ass instead went on and pointed out across the street. When she looked, I spun out of her grip and all in one motion grabbed my pants back up and went into a full sprint and jumped the fence into someone's yard and took off down the street. About the time I hit the ground over the fence I heard her yell, "Are you ducking kidding me? TLDR. I ran away across an alley and over a fence into someone's yard, across that and into a full sprint down the street. I opened up a collectible card game and miniature store. When I was in my fresher year of university I made an error. After being down the nearest student bar and drank an obscene amount of beer, my beer goggle turned on to overweight Irish girl. In my mind I was sure she was beautiful and witty. Turned out not. Cue memory loss and I blacked back in when I have managed to bring this troll back to my flat in our halls of residence. Kissing in the corridor and whatnot. This was just around the time of Christmas holidays. So one of my flatmates had already headed home for the holidays. Like the rookie he was, he had left his room unlocked. So, drunk and me decides duck it. He's a D-head and lead the girl into his room. After this normal sexual initiations begin and I gradually begin to sober up and feel worse for the beer I have had. So then I decide to be a gentleman and go down on her. Around then I realize my real mistake. There's this ducking rank fishy smell. I am talking about yeast infection bad smell. My nose picked up on it too late. I licked. And then I vomited. I vomited on her V. Drunk and save yourself abandon ship mode engages. I jump up, grab my clothes and leave before she realizes what's happened. As I leave I hear oh my god. Went into my room. Locked the door. Slept. Stayed in the room for roughly 24 hours just in case she hadn't left. Man, I was hungry and thirsty. Worst hangover ever. Flatmate to this day doesn't know. Saw her again on campus a couple of months later. Got the dirtiest look I have ever and will ever receive. TLDR. Overweight Irish girl had yeast EV. Vomited on it in my flatmate's bed. Ran away. I was really high watching The Lion King and this very unattractive girl kept edging closer to me on the couch. I eventually wound up curled up in the fetal position away from her, tucked into the very corner of the sofa. I just make sure I don't wipe. At one of my house parties a few years back, one of my friends brought over a female friend to drink. This girl had cum dumpster written across her forehead. In my college days, I had cum dumper tattooed on my neck. 10 minutes into the party, it was evident that she wanted to take part in the no pants dance. I was 50/50 about it. After the party, a fifth of vodka and a case of beer, my roommate and I went back to our room with this girl and one he had picked up through the night. They ended up passing out, so I had no feasible way out at this point if something went wrong. Not only did she skip the whole let's make out for 2 hours stage, she grabbed a handful of my hair and just started trying to force me to go down on her. At this point, I'm down to a 30/70 and wanting to take part in this. By the time I got to her belly button, the scent of low tide rolled into my nose. So, I did the natural thing any 21-year-old guy would do. I crawled back up to her and started speaking seductively in my Kermit the Frog voice until she left my bed. Edit. I hate to disappoint many of you, but the tattoo reference is a figurative statement. Haha. I appreciate all of the input. Genuinely a few belly jiggler comments. I'm no Tucker Max, but I have a story or two. Second plot twist. I had a girl in my bed, and I'm a mechanical engineer. I took a girl to her boyfriend's house. I fell behind a dryer. I was drunk, sitting up on top of a dryer in a friend's laundry room. The creepy girl I had avoided all evening entered and had me cornered in the room. She pushes up on me, tries unbuckling my belt, and attempts to kiss me. My only method of evasion was to fall backwards behind the dryer and wait until backup arrived. 3 friends heard her calling for help and sprung me from being trapped between the wall and the dryer. I left the room with them as my guardians. I'll never forget the terror of being wedged back there, while watching her fat hot dog fingers try to molest me from above. Back in college I was a designated driver for a group of friends. We get to a party and my sober ass is bored. Then a very drunk woman I knew from one of my classes started hitting on me, culminating with her telling me she'd duck my brains out. Sober me thought this wasn't kosher since she was hammered, so I turned around for a moment and yanked a few hairs out of my nose. It made me eyes water and my nose run and I said, I have a brutal cold you don't want to catch. Why don't you let me get better and then I'll take you out. I gave her my phone number and she, though that was so sweet, she passed out with her head in my lap. 3 days later before class she came up to me, gave me a huge hug, and thanked me for not being a D. We ended up dating and she's still one of my best friends. I got undressed with the lights still on. That usually does it. I need to return my videotapes. Girl I was dating in college wanted me to come over to her apartment. Told her I couldn't because I was busy watching the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie with my roommates, which I was. I've told this on Reddit before, but I still think it's one of my crowning achievements in life. It was 2005 or 2006, with some friends at a girl's place. She has a thing for me, but I strongly suspect that she isn't completely mentally stable. We're all on her bed watching Family Guy together. Girl decides she ducking wants me, rolls on top of me, pins our arms. Friends are like, ooh, we're gonna leave and start to head out. I give them the don't duck and leave me eyes. I think fast. Wrestling instincts take over. Flip her over. I'm on top of her with her arms pinned now. She has the oh duck yes look and here eyes. I hop up and WOOOP Zoidberg crab walk away. She did turn out to be crazy as duck. Avoided sticking my D in crazy. Late to the show and tell, but why not? This is a story of wingmanship more than turning down 6. Went to a bar with 2 buddies, one of whom was meeting a girl that he had a crush on. She was wasted when we arrived, and after introductions it became apparent she was interested in me. Heavy flirting, obvious touching, etc. My friend with the crush took it in stride, sorta giving me a sully shrug. but I felt bad. I moved the conversation around till it was ripe to drop a white lie. I was gay. She didn't believe me at first, so I improvised and wrapped my arm around my other friend, who was in the middle of WTFing after hearing me say that, and introduced him as my partner. She did a hip cock and asked us to prove it. There are those moments when you catch the gaze of a friend and realize that what's about to go down is something that you'll laugh about later, or regale at each other's wedding. It only lasts for a split second, but in those moments you can glimpse the depth of your friendship. We shared a moment like that before exchanging a slow, gentle, familiar kiss. She just stood there, then said, "Wow, you guys don't seem gay." Meanwhile, my pal who was into her witnessed the whole thing, jaw dropped, and bought us 2 shots. She became more obnoxious as the night wore on, and my pal lost all interest. Came out of there with a great story though. TLDR, kissed another male friend to convince girl I was gay. Edit, typos and derpy syntax. Went with this girl to some seedy love hotel. I'm Brazilian. She wants me to go down on her. Well, why the duck not? Thing is, there's a strange smell coming from down there, and it's far from that normal, girly, and pleasing smell. No, it's not menstruation. It's not poop. It isn't anything caused by lack of hygiene either. It's not even an yeast infection. I know these smells. Trust me, it's something akin to carrion. Like there's some necrotic tissue inside her parts. When I took her panties off I almost gagged. So I did what any manly man would do. I immediately excused myself to the bathroom and escaped through the window. Well, this is a funny story that happened to me a few years ago. I was with some friends in a house for the summer. The house wasn't very big and we slept 3 in each room. We were 9 total. For the sake of friendship we all agreed that we wouldn't be fooling around with each other. All was going fine. We were having a really good time together. About 2 weeks in things started to change. One of the 2 girls that I shared a room with, let's call her Sarah, started to do some strange things, like leaving her underwear in my bed, walking around a lot on her underwear, etc. I never said anything because our other friend was in the room and she didn't said anything, so my though was it's nothing out of the ordinary. Just ignore it. This kept going for a month and a half. We had just 1 more week to the end of the summer and then it got worse. She climbed on my bed, naked. I really didn't like her that way and I didn't want to go there with her, so I panicked. I got up and said, "Sorry Sarah, I'm in love with Rita, our other roommate." I ran to Rita, waked her up and kissed her. The poor thing was really shocked, but I explained everything to her. We had to fuck for the rest of the week. TLDR, kissed her roommate so I wouldn't have to sleep with the other. Ended up fucking 6 for a week. I must say, I was expecting more female answers than male ones. One of my ex-girlfriends wanted to wait until marriage to have a 6, or at least until she found the right guy to be with. I was okay with that, and we were maybe 5 months into the relationship, very happy together. I found out not too long in that she was a furry, and we would often joke about if I was a furry, what animal I would be. So I created this character, Octavian, Lord of the Griffins. I'd joke about how he would be dressed all regally, and I would go to conventions in costume and just shout everything. "Hello, sir, can I get you a glass of water?" Octavian does as he pleased. Less than grab the glass of water and chug it, then toss the glass on the ground and walk away. More than was good fun. Well, cut to one of our date nights, and things have gotten, well, heated. She's more or less naked, and we're rolling around on the bed together, literally seconds from just going at it. When I ask her if she's sure she wants to go through with it, she says she wants to think about it, but doesn't stop grinding on me. Well, I didn't want her to make the wrong call here, so I knew I needed to stop 60 times the only way I knew how. Octavian does as he pleases. Then I rolled her over and made some kind of eagle screeching noise. She busted out laughing, pushed me off, the mood being completely killed. This gave her the chance to calm down, and we waited a little while longer before we actually had sex. Totally don't regret it. D. Called her the wrong name in between her kissing me. Bad breath is a turn off. Oh, I thought you were a Sarah.